You did.
Yeah, I realized that after about 10 days.
Nice. How long have you been in insurance?
About 10 days.
Excellent. Any sales background?
Yeah, I worked for a company previously that I would call people that were in debt with the IRS and try to talk to them about their debts and get it taken care of. I don't know if that's necessarily sales, but definitely objections.
Okay.
Um, I owned a barber shop for about 10 years. I closed that down about 6 months ago. It just wasn't for me anymore. My body was kind of not agreeing with it. So
Okay.
this is the transition.
Nice. Very good. All right. Well, I'm glad you're here.
Thanks.
And were you a hairdresser?
Barber.
Barber.
Mhm.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Okay. I was going to say barber first. And
You're all
then,
right.
um, okay, Laura, you've been here a while. And then Ricardo, you've been here a while.
Yeah, I'm on my
Yeah.
second week.
Have y'all been in the business for a year yet? I don't even have an idea. You have. Okay. Ricardo, not yet. Lauren, have you been here a year yet?
No, I'm on week two.
Wonderful. Any sales background?
Minor, yeah.
Okay. How about you, JD? Mr.
Can you
Wonderful
hear me?
Beard. Yes, I can.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Could you repeat the question?
How long have you been in insurance?
I'm just starting out as a brand new agent. I was
Good.
just licensed on the 23rd of April.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank
Nice.
you.
Any sales background?
Previously, yes, but nothing even close to insurance. Um, I've had several businesses where I had to do sales, customer service. I had to do everything as the sole entrepreneur of it.
Wonderful.
So,
Well, it's good. Most people here, from what I'm noticing, have an experience in talking to other people, which even if you were a, barber and you had never sold anything necessarily, you'll be able to take your ability just to have a conversation and use it when we talk to people, which
Yeah,
will
the
direct. Go ahead. Go ahead.
sorry. I was gonna say the ability to kind of feel people out or know what they're thinking without them actually saying it. Like I'm really good at that just from doing
Yes.
barbering.
Good.
Yes, exactly. So this will help you with objections and things like that. So, one thing I just want everyone to kind of know when you're in insurance, like a lot of people kind of get stuck on the word sales and they look at it like it's a bad thing. But the truth is, different companies have different ways of selling, you know. Apple Apple was pretty good. I mean, they're pretty good at selling, right? I mean, this is beautiful. Look at this. I think it's beautiful. I mean, you don't have to like that color.
Mhm.
I've had the green one before, I have a black one. Here's the black one. You can't see it barely. But so here it is in a green case, the orange phone in a green case. Anyway, I like the texture of that case, but it's easy for me to just look at that and then buy it. But like if you go back in time, to when Steve Jobs, if you ever watched the movie Jobs,
Mhm.
it gives you just an inkling of what it might have been like for him when they started in the garage at Apple and like had to go and sell like people who would, hold their computers or invest with them to like build what Apple is today. A lot of investors early on in the beginning. And so there's a book that I have on my shelf called Sell or Be Sold, and it's by Grant Cardone, and it says on the inside cover, it says right here, everything in life is a sale, and everything you want is a commission. And that's just part of it. Like if the first thing you have to, realize is that if you have a child, if you have a daughter or a son, you are um, having to sell them on brushing their teeth, getting out of bed to go to school, certain things that they do in their life. So that's a sale, and the commission would be they have a nice, clean mouth. They don't have cavities. They go to bed so that way when they get enough sleep, doing a lot better at school during the day, and they're a lot more able to get along with you because they're not irritable because they're getting enough sleep, eating the right foods. They're going to act better, not always because of the food, but they're going to have a better chance at acting right because of the right food, which is going to be the same thing for us, right? So I just say all that to say, like, you're in insurance, but your job is to help people get to a place that they want to go. And you're not trying to sell a product, like you're not trying to sell like a policy. What we're really selling is peace of mind. And so there's one, no, the number one objection handling, there's always like that question of like, what would you say if the person said this? And there's always going to be some pretty clever things you can say, and you'll kind of figure out what they are. But what does anyone think is the number one way that what's the number one objection handling in the world? Does anyone know what it is? Anyone got the answer? If you don't have it, I'll just say it. It's
AAA,
say again.
AAA, the what is it? You acknowledge, you answer, and you ask.
Yeah, and that's a great way to, kind of deal with things on a general whole, like so that way you're not disagreeing with them, but you're kind of trying to understand and you're trying to. But the number one objection rebuttal is the one that you never get and the one that you can handle without even hearing it. And the way that you do that is just by having a presentation that will cover the majority of the things that people will say to you as a whole. So there are a few common things that people say to you, like, is this going I'll give them to you right now if you guys want to write them down or note it down in some way. This is recorded, but is this going to be a 2-year waiting period? Um, is this term or whole life? Do I have to pay on this forever? Do I have to give you my bank account? Because I'm not going to do that. Do I have to give you my social? Because I'm not going to do that. Um, you know, is this just burial or cremation? Um, so there's a way that you can, really handle all of that in your presentation. Just you have to bring it up before they do. You don't need to take forever to explain all that stuff. And so you have to look at like if I'm a person and I'm going to buy this policy, what is the reason why I would leave money to someone when I'm not here anymore? Well, the number one thing is I want to feel good knowing that if something happens to me today, I'm leaving my kids in a decent position and they're not hit with a burden. So I feel good knowing like they're going to be taken care of at least as much as I can do, as much as I possibly can. Everybody always wants to leave the $50,000 policy to their kids. That doesn't always mean that they can afford that one or even 100,000. It doesn't even mean that it's the right type of coverage. So one thing you should always do in your presentation, I'm just going to give this to you because it really helps you prevent objections, right? We're just going to cover this really quick. We're going to move quickly here. So has anyone ever taken a moment, Ricardo, to tell you the difference between term and whole life? Most people don't know. So
Yeah.
I did two things there. I didn't make them feel bad for not knowing because nobody wants to feel like they're wrong or they don't know something, right? They don't want to be corrected. But most people, most of the time that I talk to will say, "No, could you tell me?" I'll give you the 30-second version, Ricardo. Term is like a president. It's going to end in 4 years, and they're going to have to either get renewed, they're going to have to come back in after they get voted back in, or they're gone because they lost. That's term. It changes on you. It can go up every 5 years. It can get canceled when you turn 80 most of the time. I'm giving this as a broad statement because then they're like, "Oh, I don't want that." Yeah, we don't offer term most of the time to people that are over 50. They don't even qualify for it usually. So don't waste your time with term. Unless this is like They know what they want. They came into the call. No, I have a 20 years left on my house. I'm 50. You know, I need 200,000. That's what I have left on the mortgage. I got 20 years to pay it off. That's what I want. But I had a heart attack last year. Don't qualify. So, you know what I'm saying? Like just giving you an example. So we don't really go into that unless you're talking to that person, right? I'm giving you a way to prevent objections in the first place. One more way you can prevent objections is like, how much is this going to cost me? Well, let me take a look at this. I want to give you the exact answer because I've got about 15 carriers in front of me and I can look at them all on a screen for you. I know what they like and what they don't like, and I'm going to tell you which one could give you the lowest cost, but be the best carrier, like a 100-year-old carrier, like a Mutual of Omaha or an Aflac or a Transamerica. If they start acting like they haven't heard of one of those, that would be kind of silly because they've at least heard of like, you could say the name Gerber. I still kind of have a Gerber contract active that I don't use. So I do kind of say the name Gerber because they've always heard of Gerber. They usually have heard of Aflac. They've heard of American General. American General owned Corbridge, which is American General. It's AIG, like AIG owned, sorry, AIG owned American General, and then they sold most of their shares. But they kind of started that company. It's so interesting how these companies work, but it's a great company. Transamerica is a big name. I had a lady who was like, my mom worked at Transamerica, you know, like for 20 years. I was like, wow, that's amazing. But knowing a little bit about these carriers, where they're based, you know that way when you talk to the person, the more confident you sound, the more fluid that you are, the less boring that you are, the more that they're going to be engaged and be like, this guy or this lady, she knows what she's talking about, you know? So I'm going to listen to her and when she asks me for my social, I'm not going to resist her. I'm just going to, I don't really feel comfortable giving out my social, but you know, you sound like you know what you're doing. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and you ready for it? And then they tell me what it is. So I hear that a lot. I don't ever give my social out to anybody. I can't believe I just said that to you. But that's more than 90% of the time, I don't ever really get any push on the social because the presentation was so good. So just kind of practicing like that script, which is on the checklist just really fast, like really, you know, especially for some people that are here like 10 days, just using this checklist, going on this checklist that you're all provided. It's in the Telegram. So you definitely want to have the Telegram. You go in here and just click on that script right here. It's even highlighted. You click on it and boom, here it is. And this is designed to kind of help you have some things to say when you call them, but you want to kind of develop, you know, get comfortable with it and just asking him some questions and then taking notes on what they say. You can either handwrite it or you can type it. But one of the biggest questions that I like to ask people that really helps me later in the call and not get so many objections is, you know, hey, you're 65, Tara, so I'm just curious, what had you looking at this time versus any other time? Oh, I just figured kind of a shallow answer is I just figured this was about time I'm not getting any younger. That's kind of a shallow answer. You want to dig deeper in a comfortable conversation, like, hey, Tara, that's great or whatever. You can just acknowledge her, you know, whatever she said. But have you ever known somebody who lost someone and they had to run around and figure out how they were going to take care of it financially? Um, yeah, or no. So there's two. You can't lose on that question because no, I've never known anyone who went through that. Well, that's great. That means that everybody you know that's close to you has this taken care of. So that's what we're going to do for you today. So that's the one answer, right? The other answer is, oh yeah, my cousin, you know, she just passed away. She was only 34. She died of a brain aneurysm. And unfortunately, like I could see how stressed out everybody was running around. They were asking for money and they actually even did like a fundraiser, like a GoFundMe. I don't want my kids to go through that. That's wow. I'm so sorry. Really sorry to hear about your loss. We're going to make sure that doesn't happen to your kids. Boom. Those types of things throughout the call, you don't really get objections. I'll tell it to you like this. The newer you are, the more objections you get. The less experienced you are, the more objections you get. So these trainings are going to help, right? Um, so let's do the next step here. So let's say you get declined. Let's say you actually did do everything and you wrote an app and let's say like they get declined. What are you going to do? You know, did you give them the lowest possible price with Aflac or Americo? And they're like, oh, that's amazing. That's the best price I've heard so far. And they go with it and they select it. And then now they get declined. And you're like, oh, what am I going to do now? Come back and say that it's $20 more a month than we told them originally? Now I look like a liar. I don't know what I'm doing. They're going to tell me they're not, whatever. You're going to get more objections. So here's what I do. Okay. So let's just take a situation here. Let me go over to this screen. I'm going to share it. And I've got my quoter. Okay. So somebody give me, Laura, how about you give me a person who just give me an age. Like, what's a common age? Like 67, male. Let's just say he's
Yeah.
a smoker. He wants a $10,000 whole life.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to renew my thing. I have to. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go on to give me a second. This just defeats what I was trying to do. That sucks. I have to go pay my card on it. I think I can use this one for a second. All right, 67. Da, 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 da. I had like my card like it changed, so I had to like update the card.
Mm.
Okay, so like what you're gonna see when you look at this is a bunch of carriers, and they're gonna be like Americo, Aflac, Mutual of Omaha, Transamerica, and I really don't feel like I have the time to renew this right now, but when you give them the lowest price and then you try to pivot to a higher price, it's a lot harder. So my recommendation is just to realize one thing, first of all. Most people do not get approved with the preferred Aflac, the Mutual of Omaha preferred, or the Americo Tier 1 preferred. They do not get it most of the time in my experience. So I quote them with something like Transamerica Express if I think they can get approved for that product. So I'm giving them a high quote because Transamerica Express is a lot higher generally than those other options I mentioned. I'll even tell them a graded. So flip. So here's the thing. When you're doing this, guys, real quick, when you're doing this, you want to flip it to graded. So right here, flip it into graded. Because if they're a smoker and you have Mutual of Omaha, there's a non-smoker price. They don't get charged as a smoker with Mutual of Omaha on graded. Now, if you're worried about selling something that has a graded, I mean, if they're a graded, they're a graded. That's what they are. I'm not trying to sell you to sell them something that's worse than the day one, because I think you should always get them a day one, right? But price also matters because if they don't pay for it for 2 years, even if it's a day one, it's not going to really matter if it's too expensive. So you kind of have to look at that. But graded is I would quote them a graded price just in case. Hey, on the worst case scenario, John, it's going to be $80 a month for 10,000. On the best case scenario, it's going to be like 65, okay? Because he might say 80 is not bad. And you're like, hey, but good news. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll just tell him the graded price. Hey, it could be like 80 bucks. Oh, that's not bad. But hey, look, I got some good news for you. I'm going to try to get it down to 65. Oh, that would be amazing. So he's excited. So this is, we're talking about pivoting on a decline, right? So if you didn't prep them for the decline, then the decline is harder to deal with. So the way that you deal with the decline is by preparing and expecting that they're going to get declined for the best offer that you think that they can get. So I like to tell them a range. I never give them like, oh, it's going to be $63, John. That's what it's going to be. We don't know. You haven't applied yet. Now you can start filling out the application with Transamerica right now. And, if they get approved, they get approved. Now you know, hey, you're approved. They haven't even given you their bank account yet. So I do like to start assumptively filling out the application. But if he's like, oh man, but that's too expensive, you want to try to get him something a little bit lower. Like I heard a price that was, lower. Anybody can tell you what they want. They don't know what you're going to be able to get until you get approved. I'd say let's just give it a shot today and see what you can get approved for. Sometimes I'll start filling out an application with the client to see what they can get approved for. And then bam, they get declined for Aflac. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, they're clearly not going to get approved with Aflac. Even if I check that box, that says, would you be willing to accept a lesser coverage? So they won't get standard, they won't get preferred. I definitely can probably get them Transamerica Express, in my experience, or even American General. With cancer, I've gotten them at least graded, which is pretty cool. It's not like a guaranteed issue. It's actually the price is very good on American General. They're great, the Corbridge, their graded product. It's a really good price. The smoker rates aren't terrible either. So I'm just telling you that to say when you get a decline, being able to immediately shift into something like it's not even a big deal and not put a lot of attention on it, the more pressure you feel and exert on the customer when you ask them for their social is the more they're going to be less likely to give it to you. The more you want it, the more they don't want to give it to you. So I just try to make it not a big deal. And I make the carrier wrong. I don't make them wrong because people feel like they take it personal when they get declined. Hey, Transamerica, they didn't give us what we wanted, John. Oh, they didn't? Yeah, forget about them. We'll get you something else. Like they're like, "Oh, okay." And earlier in the call, by the way, just so you know, this is important. And I like to say 15, guys, because I used to say 50. I'm not trying to change what you do. If you want to say 50, we don't even have 50 carriers, but I have 15 carriers. I really do. So I have some Medicare carriers from back in the day. So I have like 15 carriers. So I just say 15 and I'm like, I name off Aflac, I name off American General, I name off, and they're like, oh yeah, yeah, Mutual of Omaha. When you say those names, they're like, oh yeah, I've heard of that. So I'm going to find you the best coverage at the lowest possible cost and get you the most that we can for your family. So you have to say that to the client. So look, listen, anything you tell me on your health is going to be used in your favor. It's not going to be used against you. I know what the carriers like and I know what they don't like. So we're going to find someone who gives you the best possible option. So when you say all these things prior to them getting declined, the decline doesn't even really need to be a big deal. So when you get that decline, you immediately pivot into the next best possible option that you can. And they're already not shocked by the fact that the price is going to be higher or that the rating of the plan has gone down. And of course, you can tell them any changes you need to tell them. But does that make complete and total sense to everybody? Just because I want to make sure that you're fully grasping that, because we deal with this every day. It's not like a once in a while you deal with this, right? So then what we should do now, though, is I want to take somebody who's willing to role play a little bit on it, like a specific situation. It could be an objection, and it could be like, hey, the cursing got declined, and they're like, well, you said it was going to be this. So, it could be any kind of thing that you can think of that you ran into that didn't go the way you wanted. And I would like to take anyone that's willing to role play that. Because this call is really for you. and I just want to make sure we target specific things that will help you on your calls in the future. Anybody want to go over anything? It doesn't have to be. Go ahead. Yeah, Gora, you're muted, sir.
Is it better now?
That's better.
Okay. And what is the role play, sir?
The role play?
Yeah.
Well, we would take a situation that you've maybe ran into. Maybe the person says, I'm not interested, or I already got coverage. Um, I don't want a 2-year waiting period. Something that you hear that would stop you from getting a policy written. So is there something you want to go over specifically?
I'm not interested.
Okay, I completely understand. Now, back when you were interested, what were you interested in?
Making sure my I get buried properly.
Okay, so do you already have something specifically in place for your burial?
No, I don't.
Okay, so this would be the first money your family would see when the time comes eventually?
Yes.
Okay, so it sounds like it's pretty important.
Yeah.
So you wanted burial, and then I'm just going to continue with the presentation.
Okay.
You made it pretty easy for me. But I used to have a guy named Henry Stewart, and he's really good. He runs a sales team of probably about 300 agents in final expense. And his favorite line, you guys are going to like this one. Um, I'm not interested. I know that's right. But Miss Jones, back when you were interested, what were you interested in? And what they'll usually do is they'll either hang up on you, like they always are going to do, or they'll say, well, I just wanted a cremation, and then I got 15 calls, and now I'm sick of this. And now you're in a conversation. I can deal with that, versus they just hang up on you, it's over. Now, Grant Cardone used to have a training on Cardone University that I would listen to. And he's like, I can't really do anything if they hang up on me. I just got to make the next call. Sometimes there's nothing you can say that will prevent the hang up, so don't let it bother you.
Mhm.
But, we have some tools on the checklist and the objections that, give you a little bit of ammo to stand a chance. Anybody else got anything they want to role play? And there's no limit. You can have 5 or 6 variations to any objection, and you can make it your own. You don't have to do what I say. You can take it and use it in a way that is natural by doing it. And then, if it works for you, then you have something you can use more than once.
Yeah, Griffin, I have something to say.
Go ahead.
I was always trained to do the 3 A's for an objection. Ask, agree, ask, and answer.
Correct. Yeah, that's kind of what I did with mine. You might have noticed. You said, I'm not interested. And I said, I know that's right.
Right.
So I kind of acknowledged you. I agreed with you. I know that's right. And then I asked a question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's kind of what I mean. I learned it from Henry Stewart. You guys can, he was my old sales manager. He still runs a sales team for Final Expense. So yes, Austin, perfect.
I don't know about a um, role play or objection handling. I mean, I'm on day 2 of reading the script, and I'm waiting on carriers. So once I get more experience, but then I'm sure I'll have a lot more questions and whatever. But do you have, in the beginning? How would you recommend, do I make a cheat sheet or something on some of the carriers as far as, if they say they have cancer, they're a smoker, they're more likely to get, approved through Corebridge versus Moo or whatever. Do you have any recommendation on how to get that under control?
Yes. Insurance toolkits is on the new agent checklist. You might have already downloaded it. As they're talking to you, you just kind of throw in their condition. Now, maybe Bianca, since she's here, I'm just going to ask her or Jen Has putting in the health information on insurance toolkits worked for you guys very well, and you do that?
Pretty much except for America.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I put in all the medications, height, and weight. But if it's like not many medications, then I'll take off the medications if I know that they'll be immediately covered. That way, America will pop up. Yeah.
I agree. I'm not trying to sound like whatever. I had to ask her because I don't use the health info on there because I have it in my mind, but I, when I was starting out, I didn't have insurance toolkits. I had to do, I had to take a piece of paper and flip it to heart failure and say, oh, these carriers here will take it, or COPD. And then I would, yeah, there you go. I mean, hey, you can
I
actually
mean, I've
just
got
use,
it for a couple of carriers, but yeah, and then I've got the toolkit on my tab, it's open, ready to, ready to get started with, but I
good.
haven't put a payment in yet.
Yeah, I mean, I just need to update my card because I literally like my card expired. I just have to change it. But I use it to price them. But I don't use it for the underwriting because I have that. But I had to do it the hard way when I started, which was make a cheat sheet you can use. I didn't have Chat GPT when I started. Like I'm old. Like no, but I'm just saying like I had to use a piece of paper. It was like an eighth of an inch thick and I would flip to COPD and I could say, hey, oh, day one coverage with Transamerica Express, COPD. Nice. Cool. You don't smoke anymore, right? No. Awesome. Congratulations. So then that's kind of nice, dude. We didn't even have a lot of carriers that would give a day one to a COPD back then. You can actually get Aflac standard if they don't take certain inhalers, but I know that because I've had enough people get declined to know what not to do. And obviously, you want to not get declines because you don't know how to underwrite. So that's what the insurance toolkits is for. Having a paper cheat sheet is really nice using your AI of some kind to build it. Cool. Any other objections, scenarios? Because some people on this call are in the same situation that Austin's in. Like I know Victor, you're gonna need you're in the same boat. You're waiting on carriers. So doing things that are like preparatory. And hey, if you're getting tired on me, make sure you don't go by any words you don't know because that's gonna make you fall asleep. Okay? If you feel tired, what's COPD? Look that up. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. What does pulmonary mean? What does chronic mean? You know?
Sounds like a heart disease.
Nope. You're in the ballpark, but we're in the ball field.
I'll look it up when I get a
Yeah,
chance.
yeah, yeah. You're
I
falling asleep on me.
don't know
I
what
can
it
say
is,
it.
but I can tell you that the Corbridge, guaranteed issue will take it, and the graded Corbridge,
Yep.
simple issue will take it, and
Graded.
Forester Standard will take it, and Mutual of Omaha graded will take it. Other
Yeah,
than
I
that,
would
I don't know
I would
about
go
the other
Trans
carriers.
Express
Okay,
because it's day one,
okay,
immediate coverage. I would
that's
even
better
tell
than
them,
graded.
hey, you
If
don't
it
want
can
to
be
be on one of
lower.
those 2 year waiting periods, right, Miss Jones? Or right, John? And then I would just but yeah, pulmonary relates to the lungs. That's what it means.
Okay.
Yeah, Victor. Um,
Oscar Griffin, I have a question.
yeah,
Um, kind of piggybacking off Austin's question, for somebody like myself who's new, hasn't been on the phones yet, I just got a text that I was approved by Ethos, so I know Lauren's gonna make it on the phones like soon.
yeah,
And that makes me nervous. I'm ready, but it's the end that I'm struggling with, like what you've been kind of going over, because I don't know what you're talking about, right? Like I've studied the cheat sheet as much as I can, but it's
hmm
hard for me to role play and practice the end stuff when I'm like, I have the
yeah,
toolkit. Is there like, could I do like a mock e-app? Is there a way to do that?
yes, there is.
Or just like, yeah, tips on role playing the ending.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Transamerica, I always tell people, are your parents still alive? And then, if they are, they're probably, if you're in your late 20s or early 30s, your parents are probably over 50. And if they're over 50, they definitely should get a small whole life policy at the very minimum, and they should support their daughter who is on her new journey, and they should go ahead and take a moment to um, write an app, right? So let me see if you can do it. I don't think you can do like you can do a quote and a pre-qualification. This is nice right here. Shedrick Cooper writes a lot of Transamerica, a lot. It's his number one carrier. So you pick like a state like Alabama, wherever they're from, select your agent number, select your product, and then move forward. And really you could write an app on yourself. Legally, you could do so. It's not a problem. You got the
Okay.
in-person or the virtual. So, if you're in person with yourself, write it on yourself. It's going to be easier because you don't have to text a code to yourself. But actually, you know what? Just it's you. Do a virtual and do it on yourself because you can. And then te it'll text you a code. Do it on
Okay.
do it on your parents, do it on yourself, do it on a friend. Um,
Smart. Thank you.
yeah. That's like that. And then look, I would say, you know what, I'm going to tell you the truth. When my first full year of insurance, my mom had breast cancer 3 years prior to that year, but she had been treated within 2 years. So I had a hard time getting her day one. I found a carrier that only asked if they'd had cancer in the last 12 months. So I got her that carrier. I think that was Americo because I got her day one, no waiting period, and it was the Eagle series. And she was a smoker. She would smoke like a couple cigarettes a day. She's not a heavy smoker. She doesn't have a lung condition. But I said, Mom, I'm going to go through my presentation with you and just know that obviously I know you're my mom and I don't need to go through this with you, but it's just for me to practice. So can you give me some responses that you would give someone that isn't your son? And then I did that to her. And I did it because I'm going to tell you something. I've had people that I knew that were referrals that I treated differently than I would treat other people. And I lost the sale on a referral. Like they came in like, yeah, Mary said you're awesome and she loves you and then I didn't get the sale. Like what the hell? Because I treated them like they didn't need a presentation. And
Mhm.
that's wrong. So I did my presentation on my mom and she actually asked me questions that I would cover in my presentation. She like, well, hey, is this day like, is there a waiting period on this? Like, is it whole life? Is it term? Does it build cash value? Like, so cover that stuff, no matter who they are. And if you do that, you'll get there. I mean, you have to go through it. You can't just magically tap yourself on the head and now you've got the skill. So that. You just have to. So actually, to answer one more thing to what Lauren said, because that was a phenomenal question. Hey, so let's go ahead and just get this done. Let's get you approved. Let's get this crossed off your list so you don't have to worry about it anymore, okay? It's just one less thing you got to worry about, Miss Jones. So that's how I do it. I just push into the application. Let's just get you approved because look, you don't want to have to deal with 15 different people to get you the same information that one guy could give you, right? No. So then, like, that's what I'm here for. I used to call myself like I'm the Google of insurance carriers. We're gonna find out the best possible choice you can get, and you don't gotta deal with anybody else. Isn't that amazing? You get a lot of unwanted phone calls, right? I can help you not get so many calls. Could you do that? Could you do that for me? Yes, I can. I can do that for you. I will. I will do that for you. And that's just a service that I provide. I'm only 34. I'm pretty healthy. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here for you down the road. I plan on making it to 100 like my great grandma. My grandpa only made it to 92, unfortunately. So I got a pretty good chance to be there for you when your time comes. You're just a tiny bit older than me, Mary. She's like 75. You're just a little bit older than me, not much. I just joke around. It's just I treat people like just like we're friends. And I have people that call me just to talk to me. And I try not to like spend my day doing that. I mean, 5 minutes. I'll give them 5 minutes. They're going to keep making their payment. I can at least give them 5 minutes, you know? Anyway, um, I pretty much have said everything that I want to say. This is really just for you guys at this point. I don't um, want to make sure we can answer any questions.
I thought I might try and answer Maddie's question in the chat and then
Oh,
have you maybe critique me and give me some, give us all some advice on that. She asked about, if you are having to switch companies after a decline. Maddie, I mean, I might just, apologize, say, hey, I'm really sorry. I really thought we were going to get you approved on that. And that, like Griffin said, that carrier just, they're just they're just really picky and don't worry about it, Mrs. Jones. We're gonna get you approved with something. Let me move on, let me try this other carrier. They're gonna be better anyways. I don't know. What would you say to that?
I like it, man. That's good. And then obviously as you do it, you're going to get,
More
make it
through it.
even less of a big deal.
Yes.
So that's good though. I mean, if
Ms.
you did
Jones, it happens. Let's just, you know what? Aflac's not the right one for you anyways. Let's try Corebridge.
exactly like forget about them. What I like to do is forget about them, Mary. Like we don't need them anyway. We've got something even, I've got an even better option available. They're not going to give us what we want. Forget it. So it's fine. We can just go to someone else who will. I've had people say that to me when I said, "I'm sorry you were declined." Oh, well, forget you guys. I'm gonna find somebody else. Bam, click. That was like years ago. So I started putting on the carrier, and I don't just work for one carrier. But if you call the carrier, they're gonna put you with somebody like me. I'm not a middleman. I am a broker. I don't really like that word, but I'm a broker, but I'm direct to the carrier. I'm not a middleman. I don't charge a fee. I get paid directly from the carrier to help you out. Anyway, yeah. I did cover that. I did cover that earlier in the call, but you'll just have to go back and watch the recording, Maddie. Okay, always turn it back on the client because they might have forgotten to give me some important info. Yeah, I try to turn it back on the client without making them feel bad, though, and I'm sure Jen wouldn't do that. She wouldn't do that. I would definitely. Hey, was there anything else you could tell me that maybe we don't like? I don't blame you. Like you want to get the best coverage you can. Listen, I don't care what the condition is. Like, listen, I work and I talk just like this. I lean in. I'm like, listen, Mary, I don't, I work for you. I don't work for just the carrier. My job's to get you approved. Anything you tell me, I'm going to use it in your favor, not against you. So the more you tell me, the better chance I can have of not wasting your time and getting you the best possible price. Okay. That's how I'll talk to the client. Like I'm telling them a secret, like and it's the truth. I don't lie to people. I don't like when I didn't have a daughter, I didn't tell them I had a daughter. Like I have a daughter now, so I can say I have a daughter. I don't make stuff up. So, that is 100% truth, and most people just don't have the inclination to say that, you know. So, anyway, anything else?
Yeah, I got a question, Griffin. Do you ever use like the better best or the best better? What is that technique?
So you're talking
Good,
about
good, better, best, where you maybe quote them like the middle price, and if you get a decline, then you can go to the cheaper one. And now it looks like you saved them, got them a deal, and got them approved somewhere else. Do you ever use that at all?
I knew a bunch of agents that didn't have as good of retention. Like I used to work at a company that tracked everything, and we had to submit every sale into a portal, and it was the company's book of business. So I could see everything, every data. My retention was always better than people that sold more than me. Like not always, I'm not gonna say always, but my retention was like in the top of the company, like in the top 10. And I was also in the top 10. So I had the best retention and I was in the top 10. So the reason I'm telling you that is to say that I could sell them a huge big policy if I wanted to, and it might stay on the books for a month or two or three. But if I oversell them, they're going to charge back. So I just tell them the price, like how much are you trying to leave to your kids? Oh, I want to leave them like 50 grand. Okay, well, I want to leave my kids $1 million, but that doesn't mean I can afford it, you know. I'm not saying you can't try. You should definitely try. But like let's get something that you can. I mean, my clients live on a real fixed income, Miss Jones. I do too. That's me. They'll say that every time. My clients live on a fixed income. Oh, that me too. Okay. Well, we got to find something that'll fit your budget every month. No, I don't want you to cancel this in 6 months. Oh, I don't want that either. Great. So let's get something that you can do that won't be a problem in 6 months or when Christmas comes around. If you can pay for this during Christmas, then you can pay for it right now. So that, right? And then the next thing would just be, hey, let's make sure that we find something that covers the bare cost and leave extra to your kids. How does that sound? So if they're doing a cremation and they want to leave 20 grand, that means some people just really want to leave a lot of money to their kids.
Yeah.
So I'm discovering that, yeah, I want to leave each of my daughters 10 grand. I've got 2 daughters. Great. So let's cover the funeral and leave 10 grand to your daughters each. So that means I need like 30 grand minimum, like minimum. So if we could, I'm going to quote you. I'm just going to tell you, I'm obligated to tell you what you can qualify for. I can get you $50,000. It's going to be $330 a month. How does that sound? Wow, that's actually not bad. I had someone say that the other day. And they bought it. They bought it. I've had other people, oh my gosh, I could never afford that. Okay, let's look at 25. Boom, cut it in half. Oh, 150? I could do 150. 170? I could do 170. Boom, you just got a huge sale. Huge sale. And they're happy about it. There's not a problem. If they're still balking at the price, just lower the coverage. 10 grand. Okay, the 10 grand, I can definitely afford 10 grand. Only $100? Yeah, I was trying to keep it under 100. I can definitely do 100. Great, let's get you 100. Boom. Go right into the application. All right, let's do it. Boom. Go in, start filling out the application. Now at the end, I'm going to give you one little trick, okay? It's called post-sale upsell. So when you're finalizing the price on your application, Miss Jones just wanted to let you know you also qualify for, because they're getting a $10,000 policy, you also qualify for the 12 and the $15,000 option. And then you price it for them. Do you want to stick with just the 10 or do you want to move it up to 12 or 15? Let's go ahead and do the 12. That happens like quite often. Quite often. It's called post-sale upsell. Post-sale upsell. I'm from Oklahoma. Excuse the Midwestern accent. Mm-hmm. Hopefully I'm the
And
only
you do
person.
that at the end after you've already got them approved and everything?
So they're approved. Most of these apps nowadays, they're approved before they give their banking. Or they've given their banking and they've agreed. They've given their banking and you can still change the price.
Okay.
Post, after the sale, upsell.
And when you do that upsell, is that if the prospect was like, yeah, let's go with 12, is that where you could then say something like, at the very end,
If
if you
they're
decide
like,
you want more coverage, you can come back to me.
yeah, if they go with the 12 initially at the beginning, when they agree, I then pivot, hey, so you also qualify for like the 15 and the 20. And then I'll tell them the price. Do you want to stick with the 12 or do you want to go with the 15 or the 20? She's like, you know what? And I've had this happen. Let's just go with the 20. And you're like, damn, I undersold this person. But when somebody comes in to buy a book in my bookstore and they want a Superman comic book or Wonder Woman, I don't say, oh, you came in for Wonder Woman? Let's go look at Superman. Oh, you came in for Wonder Woman? Here they are. Here's the Wonder Woman comic books. Yeah, here it is right here. You like that? Great. Also, you have a son, right? Great. What about Superman? Or does he want Wonder Woman because she's prettier? You know? So that's just like you got I wanted the 10. I got the 10. Great. Would you consider? And then you go into the like it's like at a dealership. I didn't want the base model car that doesn't have they even have ones you can still roll up the windows, but you save money, like so you can crank the window up with your hand. So, all right. Okay, I think that about wraps up the call here. Thank you everybody for your time. Some people are already selling. Good for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Griffin.
Final questions?
Job, Griffin.
Thank you. All right, you guys are awesome. Have a great day selling.
All right, Griffin. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.